Welcome back, guys. As always, Hot Mess Espresso is very proudly sponsored by 502 Media. We have Lauren Courtney on the pod, and if you have no idea who she is a Holy Fire Reiki master, author of Glow Up Your Chakras from Medicated to Meditated, and founder of the Glow Up Method, which is an integrative approach to healing that blends energy work, spiritual psychology, and somatic practices. She's a former New York City chef turned spiritual teacher, and she helps people regulate their nervous systems, reclaim their intuition, and become their own greatest healers. Lauren, I am so happy to have you on.
So happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Of course, you have kind of done a little bit of everything.
A little bit. A little bit.
So let's start with the private chef, because that kind of started a lot of this journey. New York City. What were some of your experiences there?
Well, I will say I am not a trained chef. I was never trained to be a chef. I had went back to school to be a holistic health coach, and through that journey, a friend's boyfriend said to me, I have friends opening a recovery home. They need a chef. Do you want to reach out to them and maybe be their chef? And I was like, seems a little crazy. I don't know how to cook really. Nonetheless, I went, I had the interview, and I started cooking for high-end recovery homes in New York City. So like expensive, sober living type facilities in Manhattan. And at first it didn't start very well because again, I was teaching myself how to cook, but soon I was cooking for up to 20 people a day in recovery, which ultimately then led me to starting my own meal delivery service, delivering to editors of Condé Nast magazine, delivering to trainers at top New York City like fitness studios, to Rockettes, all different types of people, Fortune 500 companies, and doing fun dinner parties that were never really expected.
How did all of that kind of, especially because you're doing all of these big things and stuff like that, how was that like affecting your mental health all the time, and what made you finally take that shift from being a chef to now the energy healing?
So even prior to being a chef, like I said, I wasn't planning to become a chef. I had went
Right.
back to school to be a holistic health coach. I worked in corporate America. I did event planning and personal assistance for professional athletes and went through some serious burnout before becoming a chef.
Right.
Had reconstructive jaw surgery that ultimately led me on a path. That's, why my book is called From Medicated to Meditated. I talk about having 3 jaw surgeries
Mm.
that led me to leaving the corporate world to becoming a holistic health coach because I wanted to understand myself and my health because I was just so fucked up, or at least like I thought I was fucked up, but like I've come to learn we're all fucked up.
Yeah.
Like none of us are getting out of here alive, like quite literally life, like none of us are getting out alive.
Yeah.
So I left corporate America on this leap of faith, which I talk about in the book. I won't get too into that story, but I left corporate America, became a private chef, and thought, this is the thing. Like, this is what I've been waiting for. I had started cooking when I was at work, and like had turned it into this career. Like, this is it. And then 3 years into doing it, my best friend and first love passed away.
Ugh.
And it wasn't so much that I had burnt out from it. It was that his death awakened me to my mediumship. And I had no idea that I had no idea what a medium was, let alone that I
Right.
was one. So it led me on a really different path. At first, it led me to stepping into working as a chef with cannabis and moving out to LA on a whim. And then it was kind of like my knives were taken from me. The universe was like, hey, we're taking your knives, but here's this new skill called Reiki. And that's what you're going to use your hands for now moving forward. And you'll see what happens next.
Yeah. I love when the universe is like, you'll see what happens next. And it's like, can you possibly like give me some bullet points, maybe at like a
I
hint?
feel like a sneak preview of the
Yeah,
episode
just like
or like anything. No.
I'm just supposed to trust you. Like, have you seen my trust issues?
Yeah, yeah, that's been one of the biggest lessons and learnings that I've
Yes.
gotten to have over this period of time.
Now, Glow Up Your Chakras, the book. We might be jumping a little bit, so we'll backtrack if we have to. But what inspired you to write the book?
So, burnout.
I'm
No,
burnout. Let's write a book. That's the most
so
like me coded thing ever.
I literally, it wasn't so much burnout, except that I always knew I was going to write a book.
Hmm.
When I moved to LA, I had this inner knowing that I was going to write some sort of trilogy. And I was like, I don't even know how to write an essay. Like, what trilogy am I writing? Like, what does that
Right.
mean? And I like let it go. I was like, okay, if I'm ever supposed to write a book, like it will come however, whenever, etc. So fast forward, it's 4 years ago. I'd been still thinking about writing my book, but the book was now a cookbook. I was going to write a cookbook for eating for your chakras, eating for your intuition, and what I learned through ultimately being a private chef and becoming a Reiki healer. So I saw myself writing this cookbook. I had outlined the cookbook over the years. And then about 4 years ago, my grandmother passed away.
Mm.
And I was really busy in my business. I was working a ton. Prior to my grandmother's passing, like I said, I dealt with my first love's passing away. 2 years after he passed, my best friend from kindergarten, she passed away. 2 years after that, my dad's best friend, who was like another father to me, he passed away. So I dealt with like back to back to back to back deaths and hits.
Right.
And I was still just like working through it because like
Hmm.
I was doing healing work and this is my purpose, right? So when my grandmother passed, something shifted so much in me that I could feel her like, you need to stop working, you need to take time off, you need to heal at a deeper level, and you need to finally write your book. So I spent 3 years ultimately doing that. I slowed down seeing clients, like stopped doing Reiki trainings, stopped launching courses, stopped launching programs, was very limited in my one-on-one clients, and just focused on writing this book, which again, I started it as I continued as a cookbook. And then ultimately, as I went through the healing I went through, like I went and studied with a former mentor. I was in Romania doing body work over like 3 or 4 weeks. I went to Egypt on a breathwork retreat. I went to Greece on a breathwork retreat. I did Kundalini yoga teacher training. Just so many
Right.
things to deepen and figure out again, like, what the fuck is wrong with me? Right?
Right.
Because I was like, okay, now I've shifted. I got sober for a 5 year period. I built my business, like all these things where I'm like, I'm still not totally happy. Like, what's really going on? And ultimately, like, that's when Glow Up was born in the new way of getting to the root of what was really going on and writing the stories and sharing shame and sharing experiences from losing my virginity and having a relationship with a married man to having body dysmorphia and all the
Yeah.
things that I kept hidden and trapped inside. you know for the most part, I let all those stories out so other people could read them and release their own shame and guilt around their own stories.
Yeah. To circle back to something that you just said, you were talking about how burnt out you were from all the courses and the, clients and stuff like that. There's a little bit of irony that you're doing all this energy healing, which is actually supposed to help with the burnout, and you're getting burnout in itself. So, how was that process of being able to slow down, like you had kind of said, and really actually get back into where you weren't like just go, 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 go?
So I think I'm like still coming back from it in the
I
best
feel like we
way.
always
Like,
are.
so even after writing the book ultimately led me to figuring out what was my root trauma. Like, what was the
Ooh.
root of what led me to being medicated in the first place and having
Mm,
these jaw surgeries and being on Adderall and all the things that I talk about. And ultimately, what I learned through everything, through the trainings I went through in the last 4 years, is I had a tongue tie since birth.
Oh.
which most people, like if you have a tongue tie, which is just the frenulum underneath your tongue,
Mhm.
that's connected. Most people at birth, if they don't latch, if they're breastfed, it's cut, it's dealt with, it's not a big deal.
Right.
I wasn't breastfed, so it wasn't noticed and it went unnoticed. And
Mhm.
because it went unnoticed and it wasn't visually that bad,
Mhm.
I ended up with much deeper, more traumatic issues because I wasn't breathing properly, because my mouth wasn't um growing properly,
Right.
ultimately because my palate didn't expand in the way that it was supposed to
Mm.
expand. So right after writing my book, I actually went through prenatal yoga teacher training, and following that, my tongue tie release, like literally the day after. So I went through my own rebirth process. So
Right.
now I'm in this time of what is next? I actually closed my Glow Up membership because I'm like, this isn't what's next for me. What is this next chapter? What does that hold for me? And so much of it is coming back to teaching Reiki trainings, because I want to remind people you are your own greatest healer. I want to
Right.
empower people to take healing into their hands. I don't believe that there is one single answer. I don't believe that Reiki is the single answer. I
Mhm.
believe Reiki is what allowed me to hold space for myself for my greatest healing.
Mhm.
It allowed me to go into the shadows. It allowed me to go into the depths. It allowed me to go into those areas with a tool that helped me move the energy to continue to move myself forward. Because ultimately, someone can help you, right? I can help my clients, and I do a damn fucking good job at what I
Right.
do. And the most powerful thing I can do is also empower you to be your own greatest healer and move through your life with your
Mhm.
intuition being your guide, not my intuition being your guide. So that's like what's really come up and through for me now is like, how can I create more tools
Mhm.
to empower you to be your own greatest healer? So that's like kind of where I'm at right now in terms of, I'm not looking to like build like have a huge amount of clients coming in, which is like what I was having for a period of
Right.
time. It's like I will work with select clients one on one in mentorship, but I'm looking to really only be mentoring small groups that are
Right.
also getting trained in Holy Fire Reiki level 1, 2, Master, and Karuna over a 9-month period, where I'm also teaching you how to empower yourself. And if ultimately you want to make it a business down the line, Waheguru, like amazing. You also have a tool to make money.
Mhm. Yeah. How hard was it to, like you had just talked about a minute or two ago, of closing down memberships and making that pivot? Was it really easy for you because you really felt called to do it, or was it just like, was there some guilt of being like, "Hey, I'm letting other people down because this is what's going to be best for me, but now, XYZ."
So I closed my Glow Up membership twice.
Well,
I closed it once and then was like, no, 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 just kidding. I'm just kidding. And like relaunched it in a new way that I thought felt
mhm.
correct. And then ultimately, after 3 months, I was like, this isn't correct. And so my biggest thing, and why it's not hard for me when I really know it's not aligned anymore, is I don't want to fuck with my karma or anyone
Mm.
else's karma. So I don't want to keep someone in a group or a program longer than I know we're supposed to like energetically be
Yeah.
contracted to it, because now I'm fucking with the karma, and like
Mhm.
that's not cute. So like people will have said to me, coaches, mentors, keep people in like a program that's reoccurring, right? Because then you have reoccurring revenue. And I have like this thing about
Mhm.
reoccurring revenue. Like I'm cool. Like, listen, money gets to come with me in so many ways, and I can't I can't have like anything that feels like I'm energetically draining something. Because if
Yeah.
someone's not like showing up to the call every month, then I'm like, oh, but are they really receiving their value? Like, are
Right.
they really like, I know they're receiving value, but I don't know what's going on with them. Like, I know the value is there, but I
Hmm.
want to know that people are like really actively receiving. So
Yeah.
that was like a big part of why it was like, no, 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 no. Karma is involved here. I don't know what's being received, what's not being received. And if someone's not receiving, then I'm also being drained.
Yep.
But like then I'm also still taking money. Like it just doesn't feel good.
Yeah. No.
So nonetheless, that's how it feels for me. It's like once I know something's not correct, I release.
That's, yeah, I literally like second guess it for decades before I'm finally like, okay, yeah, I'm done. But once I'm done, I'm done.
Yeah.
Like,
Which is great. But like the reason I also do it really quickly is because I want my clients to do the same thing. I
exactly.
want
Yeah.
them to know, like, oh, wait, if Lauren's willing to do that and she's been doing this for 9 years and she's so willing to let something go, like, I can let something go. I don't have to get stuck here for months waiting and making that decision. I can just choose to make an empowered decision and step forward. Because I don't want you to wait. I want you to be empowered to know, you know?
Exactly. Um, Medicated to meditated. Can we talk about why that was a thing?
Yeah, well, I mean, you could talk to doctors.
Girl, trust me, I also went through like back surgeries and wound up on pain pills because of it. So I know that process
Yeah,
painfully
so
well.
it was a journey.
Mhm.
So Medicated to Meditated, really, it's my memoir. It's
Mhm.
who I've been or who I was in the first chapter of my life, which
Mhm.
was someone who was prescribed Adderall. Someone who, because I had ADD, right?
Yeah.
Someone who was prescribed painkillers, anti-inflammatories, and muscle relaxers to deal, similar to you, right, with
Mhm.
jaw surgeries. I had jaw surgery for TMJ, which is an issue with the temporomandibular joint. I
Yep.
had pain when I'd open and close my mouth. I couldn't open to, like, biting a bagel, and being a New Yorker, like, I should be able to bite a bagel. It was hard for
Right.
me.
It's a travesty,
Like
honestly.
eating like a New York strip steak, like I had to cut it up like a little baby.
Ugh.
Um, so I was on painkillers, muscle relaxers, anti-inflammatories to deal with my first surgery at 17 years old.
Mm.
My second surgery at 21 on the joints, and ultimately I had reconstructive jaw surgery, braces put on when I was 24 years old. And then at 25, I was like, I'm not taking pills anymore. I will not
Right.
feel this way. Um, on top of that, I had Klonopin, I had
Oof.
Ambien, I had, you name it. I knew what to ask
Ooh.
my doctors for at a certain point, because I'd tell them, like, my Adderall's stressing me out during the day. I can't eat. I need something to come down. And then they'd be like, okay, try Wellbutrin. And I'm like, well, that's not helping. Like, this isn't making me feel anything. And then they would give me Klonopin. And then I can't sleep. Okay, well, here's an Ambien. So I was taking pills, I was snorting pills, I was
Yeah.
sharing pills with my friends. Yeah, it was, growing up on Long Island where I grew up, and I talk about this also, like I talk about all of this like really
Mhm.
openly. This was normal.
Oh,
This
1,000%.
really, yeah, like this was really normal. Like taking a Quaalude when I was in high school was a very normal thing. I'm not saying it was like okay with my parents or accepted, but like it was normal, and I
Right.
managed to always have good grades. My life never got out of control. So I was very medicated. Anyway, the meditated, of course, started to come in
Mhm.
as I went through the spiritual awakening, as I shifted. Started taking less pills after all my surgeries. And then eventually, like, it was only cannabis to Medicaid. And then cannabis started being like, oh, I take cannabis, but also go to Kundalini yoga. I smoke cannabis, but go to these sound healings. And then all things kind of floated out. And I got sober for a 5-year period, which actually was me just getting really rigid and building a six-figure business
Mm-hmm.
within my rigidity, which ultimately led me to burnout, right? Because I wasn't
Right.
using substances, but I was just feeding an unhealthy root trauma
Yep.
that I still needed to deal with. And then I let substances back in, I guess, about 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a very healthy relationship. It turns out I'm not an addict. There is not that rigidity that I thought was once there. It was that I had an opportunity to do deeper healing work within myself and within my lineage. So I chose to do that and write a book on it. And
Right.
it led me to this nice meditated space.
Yeah. No, I know for me, like I can't go near an oxy pill to save my life, literally ever. I took one after a surgery um a couple of years ago and I hit that serotonin high and I was like, ooh, no, my body still is like, we like this. So it's like pills are definitely something I can't go anywhere near, but I have my weed pen. When I want to sleep, when I just want to like take the anxiety down a notch, it's not like a need. It's basically for like funsies. But I completely agree with you. When you heal a lot of that root trauma and all of those things within you, and granted, my stuff was just like yours. We were just handed pills. I mean, I can't tell you how many medications I was on. You were saying I need to sleep because none of these things are making me sleep. Well, here's an Ambien. Here's this. Here's that. Like we had a chart, a literal chart to keep track of all of my medication. It was horrifying. Looking back, it's horrifying. But yeah, it's once you heal a lot of that, it definitely makes it so that it's like almost like you almost kind of choose to, especially when it comes to weed. It's like, I need to take down the anxiety a little bit because the anxiety pills don't help. They really don't. Like I'm just not a person that pills necessarily work for. Adderall, crippling panic attacks. Crippling panic attacks. Not my thing. So I actually use Magic Mind, the little like neurotropic green shots. Those have been phenomenal. But, other than that, I just kind of suck it up at this point.
Well, and that's, where the meditated comes in,
Mm-hmm.
and the breath work and the breathing.
Yeah.
And, you know, through the book, I was led back to where I started 9 years ago after my ex passed away, which was Kundalini
Mm-hmm.
yoga. And Kundalini has so much to do with breath and mantra and sound and meditation. And it
Yeah.
led me back to that place. So while I'm not like sober by
Right.
those terms, it's like when I'm having anxiety, or if I can't sleep at night, I'm going to cover my right nostril and breathe through my left and do left nostril breathing. If I need more of a boost in the afternoon, I'm going to do right nostril breathing. Or if I'm feeling, imbalanced and out of control and like I'm spiraling, I'll do an alternate nostril breathing. So even just like those little things, those little ways of meditating and shifting your breath and your consciousness have so much benefit and effect.
Yeah. What was the hardest part of writing the book?
Like writing the book.
Honestly, though, like a woman with ADD.
I just say like once I knew the book was evolving and it was becoming what it was becoming, because it started as a cookbook, shifted into this healing, chakra healing meets memoir.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's recipes for eating for your chakras. So it's like everything got included. So once I kind of knew that and knew that there were stories of my own personal telling going with each chakras, some of the stories that I wrote were like really hard for me to sit like to write, but I knew I needed to write it. And I
Mm-hmm.
also like I was writing stuff knowing like my parents are going to read this, my friends are going to read this, my family is going to read this, like so there was that I got to work through, and I think
Mm-hmm.
that was some of the biggest stuff, and thankfully everyone received it very well.
That's always a huge plus because yeah, when you're like, oh God, my parents are gonna read this, like
Yeah.
You're always expecting that phone call of that's not how I remember it. And it's like, well, you know.
Yeah. So I would say that was there's one story particularly I talk about an ex that went to jail.
Mhm.
And my experience going to the jail and what that was like. And I had
Ooh,
never told that story. So writing that one was,
interesting.
it's a fun one. Get it.
Yes.
Highly recommend you read. Check it out. Glow Up Your Chakras from Medicated to Meditated, available now on Amazon.
Hey, there we go.
Yeah.
That answered like the final question. But without giving too much away with the book, what are some things that people can be doing to eat with their chakras? Like you had said that you brought it up in the book and it was originally a cookbook and all of that. But what are some things that people can be doing if they feel like a certain chakra is like not aligned or they have no idea that you can eat for your chakras? Because that was also news to me when we first connected.
Yeah. So like the most basic way I can describe it is like your chakras are that rainbow of color from
Hmm.
root to crown, red up to the top, the indigo violets. So when we eat for our chakras, we're eating the same way. So if we're eating to nurture our root chakra, and we'd be doing that if we needed grounding, right? And just like I feel ungrounded, I feel unrooted, I need to relax, or I've been traveling, I need to like come back home to myself. We're gonna go to red foods or root based vegetables.
Okay.
So I would like have some beets, right? Maybe some roasted beets, salad with like some goat cheese, right? Something yummy and delicious. Or in the book, I have a recipe for like what is it called? It's like one of my favorite recipes that people love. Beet carpaccio. So not like a beef carpaccio, but it's a beet carpaccio. So you're connecting further with that root chakra. Coming into the sacral chakra, if you're looking to get into like a creative flow, you're wanting to connect with your feminine energy, you might choose an orange food like salmon, getting into that flowy energy. Or if you're
Hmm.
wanting to still be rooted and connect with the sacral energy, you can move into something like carrots, right? So there's also like these vegetables that are going to bridge to chakras. So we don't want to get too stuck on certain, like it has to
Right.
be a certain way, it has to be a certain color. Then coming up to the solar plexus, our power center, yellow foods. So again, if we're wanting to stay connected in those lower chakras, you might have some golden beets, you might have some yellow carrots, or you might have something just like pineapple, right?
Right.
Growing from a tree. Then we go into the heart chakra, green food. So, getting a leafy green salad. If you're, like if we need cardio health, we think about like cardio health, right? Like
Hmm.
our heart, we need it to beat, we need to breathe, blah, blah, blah.
Hmm.
Plants, trees, leaves, that feeds our heart. So
Huh.
it's just like, right? Like connecting it
Yeah.
to these things that are, it's like, exactly like, like, oh, I never even thought about that.
No,
That
I never
makes so
did.
much sense. So, and then moving up, throat chakra, blue foods, blueberries, third eye, blackberries, purple foods, purples, potatoes, which of course are also going to still connect us to the root. So we're connected
Hmm.
to those upper and lower chakras, finding that balance in our body. So there's way to balance with certain foods and bring foods together. And again, ultimately, and I talk about this, it's having fun with your food.
Yeah.
Like make your plate colorful, make it exciting. It doesn't have to be boring. Let go of all of the rules. There are so many rules around food. And if we can just let go of the noise, let go of the rules, let go of like what it should be, and simply tune in, body, brain, nervous system, intuition. What is it that I need? What is it that I want? Connect with ourselves.
Hmm.
We know what we need.
Yeah. I think a lot of us put way too much thought because there's so much information on like the internet and TikTok and YouTube, and it's like, do this, no, don't do that, do this. Like now it's starting to get to where it's like, oh, these are the foods you need for each phase you are in your cycle, except for you can't even really access that, or the list is like 8 miles long and you're like, I don't even know where to start with this. So it's just so overwhelming.
It's a
And
lot.
like you were saying, just like sit with yourself and like, what does your body need? Like there's a reason you crave like an extra rare steak the week before because that's what your body needs.
And then even with that, right, it's being curious, like, and then
Mhm.
like, I'm someone that's really curious. Okay, I notice that I want these things around these times. Why am I having this craving? So if I'm noticing like, okay, I'm really needing to like lean more into leafy greens and green vegetables, and I'm really craving salads, then I get to ask myself, what's going on with my heart chakra? What's like actually going on with me? Where am I not nurturing myself? Where am I not feeling nurtured? Where am I not allowing myself to receive, or where am I not giving?
Mhm.
And then, right, it's just like tuning in with yourself and asking yourself questions, because there is so much benefit to cycle syncing
Yeah.
and eating for your cycle. And I've known about cycle syncing for years, because I actually, when I was a private chef, I did cooking for the author of I think it's called Flow Living. Alyssa is her name.
Mhm.
And so I got to learn about it. With that, it's a lot for me, right? If I'm traveling, I'm not like
Yeah.
buying sesame seeds or pumpkin seeds or all the seeds or
Yeah.
all the
No.
things all the times, right? So it's just getting aware of like, these are ingredients that I know really nurture me and feel really good. And
Mhm.
I had my meal delivery service was a salad delivery. So
Mhm.
I like to almost, I'm an ingredient house. I've just learned this term of like ingredient house, and I don't even know
Yeah.
what the other option is, because I'm not that option. So I like to almost have like a salad bar in
Yeah.
my cabinet or in my fridge. It's like I can make any amazing salad right now. And then also anything that I can turn into a salad right now, I could probably saute and turn into a brown rice pasta right now. Or I could make it into a savory oatmeal. Or I could scramble it with eggs, right? So it's like, how can I just use easy, natural things that support me in these different moments without
Mhm.
making it so fucking complicated?
Yeah. I will say I am the opposite of the ingredient person. I am the can I throw it in like a microwave or an oven for 2 minutes and call it a day. Because cooking gives me anxiety. I want to be the person that's got like all these different ingredients and yeah, we're gonna get creative and we're gonna throw all these things. No,
So
no.
that's what I talk about in my book, because it's not about it being all these different ingredients and
Mhm.
being complicated, right? It can be as simple as like, I know tonight, like this morning, I was like, what do I want to eat for dinner tonight? And I'm like, oh, I want to eat like this snap piece Caesar salad that I'm like hyper
Oh,
fixated
that
on
sounds
right now
so
because I ate
good.
it the other day. So it's chopped snap peas, right? Yes, I made a Caesar dressing, but you could buy one. But making a Caesar dressing is literally taking an egg yolk, taking Parmesan cheese, olive oil, um, anchovies, and whisking it, right? And
That's
whisking
it.
just means using a fork to mix, right? Or you could put it in a blender and like make it in a little blender, right? So now I have just chopped beans and this dressing, and I made the dressing 3 days ago and I've had it 3 times, this salad, because again, hyper fixated, love it, feels really good.
Yeah.
So I'm eating that. It's already done. I'm just chopping these vegetables, and at the same time I'm making couscous. I make my couscous with bone broth, so it's getting extra protein. And that
Oh.
literally, couscous is boiling bone broth, turning it off, putting the couscous in the pot, covering it with a lid, and setting it aside. That's it. So now I have my salad that's done while this broth was boiling. And now I'll make a piece of chicken. Chicken is relatively simple to make because
Yeah.
these days you can use an air fryer, right? You can't fuck up chicken anymore when we have things as easy as an air fryer or
Right.
a pan or an oven. It takes 15 minutes. Like, it doesn't take much time.
Mhm.
So now I have a 3 ingredient mainly dinner that took maybe 20 minutes to put together. So to me, it's like, how can I just make it easier? Because we make it so complicated.
We do.
And I think like the recipes on social media make it seem complicated. Like everything
God, yeah.
is so complicated. And it's like, whoa, just pull it back. Because at the same time, like I'm going to make that chicken for dinner tonight at the same time that I make some chicken for lunch. And I'm going to make a chicken salad for lunch. And
Yeah.
all it's going to be is chicken chopped up with a scoop of cottage cheese and some grapes and arugula, and I'll mix it in a bowl and probably have a rice cake because I like a little crunch. So now
Mhm.
I have lunch and dinner, and I made it all within 30 minutes, and it
Huh.
was really easy and it tastes really good. And now I've put positive energy into it and I've made it with love. I personally like put Reiki into the food and
Right.
whatever energy. So I try to teach people like, hey, slow it down. It's not that complicated. We're already thinking about the end when like all you have to do is just like cut a few things, and like cooking is alchemy. It's turning something into
Yeah.
something that it never was before. So to me, it's like cooking was given to me before my mediumship was given to me, because I had to
Mhm.
learn how to alchemize. I had to learn to use energy in a different way. Cooking is simply
Yeah.
transforming energy.
Mhm. Yeah, no. Because like cooking in general gives me a ton of anxiety, and it's because there's like 5 million steps. So like my ex-husband and I used to do like HelloFresh in every plate, and it seemed less complicated because the steps were already there. The ingredients were already there. I didn't have to it was like basically everything was handed to me. I just
Mhm.
had to follow the steps, and that was that. It was what throws me off a lot is when I have to get creative. I'm like, I don't know, like salmon and rice for dinner again? Like, you know, but you
But
just
it's
made that sound so simple.
well, because
Like,
it's like it's like what do I like? Right?
right.
What do I like? When I go to restaurants, what do I like? Like I just ate that sweet pea salad at a restaurant in Boston. I don't live in Boston. I live in Miami. I'm
Mhm.
not going back for that salad. So,
Right.
but I want to eat it again, and I want to fixate on it for at least 2 weeks, and then probably never make it again and remember it in a year and be so
Mhm.
excited about it again, right? Like that's
Right.
totally my ADD and my brand. So
1000%.
so it's like, what have you eaten recently that you liked? And it's like, can I recreate that? Like that to
Mhm.
me is how I get to play as an adult, right? I'm not going to the sandbox and like getting a bucket and playing in the sand,
Mhm.
or maybe I will, I don't know. But that's what cooking has become to me. And it's a way, again, your arms, your hands, this is all an extension of your heart chakra. It's a
Yep.
way to nourish yourself and take care of yourself. So when people ask me like what's the number one way I can like what are the easiest tools I can use that don't cost me money to start my healing process, it's like number 1, start journaling, number 2, start cooking for yourself.
Yeah.
Those are both free, easy things that you're already cooking for yourself or eating. You have to eat and journal. Get your fucking thoughts out of your head and put them on paper.
Yeah, especially to get the thoughts out of your head and put them on paper. Oh my gosh. Well, because it sounds like that's basically what you did with your book. You journaled for everyone to read. But you were saying like you were able to heal by getting that out on paper and being like, this was my truth. This was my processing. This was the things. And now you're just like, well, it's in the book. I don't have to think about it anymore.
Yeah. And now it's like, what's next for me, right? Like we started
Mm-hmm.
with what's next for me. It's like, I just want to empower everyone to write their own book and
Mm-hmm.
to tell their own story and to be your own greatest healer, to take your power back. Because I don't want people to give me the power to be your healer. I don't need
Mm.
that. My ego is good. We are staying in check over here. We are great. We are healthy.
Mm-hmm.
We are happy. I want you to feel healthy and happy in your ego and not give your power away. So it's all just so it's all interwoven and connected.
Mm-hmm. 1000%. Now, to kind of wrap a little bit, the
Yeah.
Holy Fire Reiki, what is that? And what is that versus what I guess we all kind of think traditional like Reiki is?
Yeah. So traditional Reiki is called a Sui Reiki.
Mm-hmm.
The main difference is so a Sui was founded in 1922. Holy Fire Reiki is 2015. So it's a newer energy, it's a newer frequency. It's still under the umbrella of the International Center for Reiki Training. It's still a certified thing for those people that need the certifications and all of that. With that said, the biggest difference is it's said in our teachings that Holy Fire Reiki was brought to the people of the earth at this time by Jesus and the Ascended Masters, essentially because no one's coming to save us. And ultimately, we are here to be our own greatest healers. So it was this tool brought to us at this time that is more highly refined than the traditional Reiki. So something in traditional Reiki, when you get the ignition is what we call it, when you get brought into the lineage, the teacher draws the symbols into your hands or touches your shoulders. They place it themselves. In Holy Fire, I, as the practitioner, hold space for you to receive through a meditation, or it's an experience, but I am not touching you. So you are directly connected to source, receiving for yourself, for your highest good, without any interference from myself as the teacher. What I love about it is you are receiving everything and I am not involved. I am simply the channel that holds the container open. So it's all on you to step into your power and being your greatest healer, whether it's for yourself or for clients. And it's like this remembering when you step back into Reiki, into Holy Fire Reiki, and you're ignited into the energy, you go through this ignition and remembering process. So for me, like my mediumship blew open when I went through it, and I was like, oh, okay, like I am awakening to things. And I didn't experience that with a Sui, but when I switched to Holy Fire, it was like, oh. And I've seen that time and time again with clients who have taken Holy Fire with me that haven't done the Asui. Within that, so it's more highly refined. There's also Karuna Reiki, which I practice. So there's a Holy Fire 1 and 2, then the Holy Fire Master, and then Karuna Master, which is 6 months. It must be after your master or years later. For me, I did it years later. And that's the Reiki of compassionate action, where we're also using our voice to chant and tone healing frequencies and sounds. So I really utilize my voice and my words and empower them with Holy Fire Reiki. My book is empowered with Holy Fire Reiki. So just holding it, you can feel the energy. So that's, I would say, like the biggest difference is that it's simply a more refined, attuned energy.
No, that makes so much sense. And the way you were talking about it, like I kind of was getting like a little I was like, ooh, I love this. I like this. Whatever that is. I like I like it.
It's incredible. It's honestly, when people, I've trained in many things, many modalities over here. With that, the two things that I always come back to, like would do it a million times over, are Holy Fire Reiki and Kundalini Yoga, which is a story for another time. But Holy Fire Reiki is this thing that I constantly come back to use for myself in my daily practice. And it's something like it's like you would take a shower every day, right? To clean yourself. God willing, you have a shower, you take a shower every day to clean yourself. Why wouldn't you clean your energy every day if you knew how to? And if you knew that there was an option and you knew you even needed to clean your energy and your energetic field and your auric field.
Yeah. Where can we find you on Instagram?
You can find me on Instagram at I am Lauren Courtney. I am Lauren Courtney.
Perfect. And like she had said earlier, you can get her book, Glow Your Chakras, from Medicated to Meditated on Amazon. I highly recommend picking it up. I can't wait to dive into it. Lauren, thank you so much for coming on and sharing all of this.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.